Now we're getting to something good. We're taking a look at the virus archetype used by, of course, Seto Kaiba, and a grand total of 1 card. So yeah, okay, actually 3 cards. So yeah, so the other ones came as some sort of legacy support, as we could call it that. But anyway, virus trap cards are basically deck destruction cards, of which one of which was banned for a few years because of how powerful it was during that time. So yeah, it certainly left an impact. So yeah, let's take a look at their first card, that being the titular Crush card Virus. First off, you need to activate it by tributing a monster, a dark monster that is, with 1000 or less attack points. Then your opponent takes no damage until the end of the next turn after this card resolves. Also, you look at your opponent's hand and all other monsters they control, and if you do, destroy the monsters among them with 1500 or more attack. Then your opponent can destroy up to 3 monsters with 1500 or more attack in their deck. Yes, this card was for several years banned because, well, yeah, it actually had a pretty devastating effect for what it does. Its old effect was to again destroy your opponent's entire hand and field consisting of 1500 attack or more monsters. The no damage thing was completely absent during that time, and you forced your opponent to like check their hands for 3 straight up turns, and if they draw like a monster with 1500 or more attack, they have to discard it immediately. So yeah, this was actually a pretty devastating card back in the day, but nowadays it's not that versatile, but it might be a bit serviceable in some more casual oriented builds. So yeah. Again, it requires low attack dark monsters in order to be applied, so yeah. There's another usage for this card, but we'll get to later, but it's not very optimal, so yeah. Next up we have Deck Devastation Virus. This one requires a dark monster with 2000 or more attack points. And also look at your opponent's hand, all monsters they control, and destroy all cards on all cards they draw. Okay. Okay, let me read this. I get confused for a bit. Okay, you need to tribute a monster with 2000 or more attack, then look at your opponent's hand, all monsters they control, and all cards they draw until their 3rd turn after this card's activation, and destroy all monsters with 15 or less attack. 1500 or less attack. So yeah, this is actually the old effect of the Crush card Virus, except the cost was doubled. You need a monster with 2000 or more attack. So yeah, it's a bit harder to pull off, but there are some nice dark monsters which this can be applied to. So yeah. Then we have Full Force Virus, which doesn't need that much elaboration because it's the exact same thing as Deck Devastation Virus, only it applies for defense points. This one is a bit less applicable because of link monsters and all that, but it can be used as a tech choice in some random matches where you think this effect will be of any use, maybe against super heavy samurais or something. But yeah, I don't buy it. Next up we have Eradicator Epidemic Virus. This one requires you to tribute a dark monster with 2500 attack or more, and declare one type of card, spell or trap card, and look at your opponent's hand, all spells, traps they control, and all cards they draw until the end of their 3rd turn after this card's activation, and destroy all cards of the declared type. Can be fairly devastating, but it actually is a bit too tricky to pull off because the monster you need to tribute it needs to be a pretty high attack beat stick. Make sure the monster you're tributing has a really good floating effect for this thing to pay off, because again, it's not exactly Shockmaster, but it can be pretty high up there if you manage to pull it off correctly. Next up we have Grinning Grave Virus. This one requires a dark monster with 3000 or less attack points. Your opponent destroys 1 card of their choice in their hand or deck for every 500 attack that monster had on the field. If you tributed a monster with 2000 or more attack points, to activate this card, look at all cards your opponent controls, your opponent draws until the end of the third turn after this card's activation, and destroy all monsters among them. Cards destroyed and sent to the graveyard by this effect cannot activate their own effects this turn. Now, this is actually a card with the potential to be broken if it wasn't for the fact that, yeah, well, you need to tribute a pretty high attack beat stick in order to get the most out of it, which pretty much makes the card dead most of the time when you would absolutely need it. So, yeah, if you run this in a dedicated virus build, if the thing ever exists for some reason, because these virus cards aren't meant to be played along with one another, so yeah, they clog up your hand than most notable cards in the game when they're dead in the hand. So yeah, if you run this, it's probably at 1 max. And the last trap card is Virus Cannon. Tribute any number of monsters except tokens, and your opponent sends an equal number of spell cards from their deck to the graveyard. All of their spell cards if lower than the number of tributes. I do not know what's the point of this card, because unless you're playing against a burn deck or some deck with, I don't know, with 90% population of spell cards, then this thing is borderline useless, and not to mention that it requires an insane amount of tributes of monsters. Yeah, the best thing you're gonna get out of this is, I don't know, 7 monsters if you control an extra link, and that's 7 spell cards, of course, because 1 monster per spell card. So yeah, the best you can get out of this is 7 monsters per if you have an extra link, and maybe 8 if you activated like something, I don't know, Monarch Stormforth or Soul Exchange. But yeah, don't run this. It's a crap anime card if I ever saw one. And their last card, and you can probably guess at that moment, is actually a monster card, Doom Virus Dragon. And yeah, what does it smell like? Yep, it's a freaking legendary dragon fusion. That explains the really bad smell suddenly here. Anyway, it must be special summoned with the Fang of Critias. Again, the absolute worst legendary dragon fusion. Using Crush Card Virus, and if this card is special summoned, look at your opponent's hand, all monsters they control and all cards they draw until their third turn after this card's activation, and destroy all those monsters with 1500 or more attack. It's the old effect of Crush Card Virus. It's the literal exact same thing as the old effect of Crush Card Virus, even is placed on a monster which is near impossible to summon. Yeah, if you want to pull off the old effect of Crush Card Virus, then just run Deck Devastation Virus, damn it. Yeah, it's not very advisable, really. The best thing, well, I would have actually loved it if you could actually special summon this thing with instant fusion, but no, you need to run the crappy fusion of Fang of Critias in order to summon this piece of garbage. So no, not worth it. Now, as for the grades, I'm actually gonna give a versatility a 3 out of 3, because these type of cards can have the potential to be very dangerous in the right setup. Consistency gets a 1 out of 3 because, again, it's an archetype based around trap cards, and the only monster they have is an extra deck monster that's hot garbage. Power also gets a 1 out of 3 because 1900 attack is their only and their strongest beat stick, so that should speak for itself. Comeback ability can be fairly devastating if you top deck the right dark monster or the right crush card. It's most applicable when you use your crush card with the Sengen, so yeah. I'm gonna be a bit generous and give him a 2 out of 3 in terms of comeback. And protection is a bit too specific. Exists, but it's a bit too specific for me to give it a more than 1 out of 3, so yeah. Will this archetype get a monster lineup other than the freaking Doom Virus Dragon? I don't think so, but I do firmly believe that we're going to get some more virus cards which require dark monsters in order to tribute them and to provide additional stun effects and everything. So yeah, looking forward to it if it ever comes out, sort of, because I'm not an enthusiast. I never ever felt the need to run these crush cards in my own personal decks, so yeah. As always, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more vid and updates. Comment, like, and subscribe. And as usual, I'll upload the next vid whenever I can. See you all. Have a good day and peace.